Okay, it's 1 p.m. Apple time, and as you have all heard me say, the sign of a good chair is that he or she begins and ends the meeting on time. You guys all know, any newbies here today? Okay, you probably don't need the extra credit, so we're all set. Okay, but the rest of you know how this works. My man Jose up there is taking care of getting you registered. We have a new kind of a abbreviated version of the PEP Talk calendar up there, so you might want to grab that. Wajiha Ali made this look real pretty for me, so I appreciate that. And that gives you what's coming up. Some good developments on the artificial intelligence that's really coming together. We're finalizing the speakers for that. The outline for it looks fantastic. It's like a 3-page outline that I call him the ringleader, the guy who's putting it together, came up with. So I'm going to give you a little tease on that. And you all know that the MBA brochures are up there and so forth. So we're good with that. We have a really special presentation today. A real Southern success story. Heather LaTorra, who went from being an intern. And internships, you've heard me talk about that, how important internships are. Well, her internship led to her eventually becoming the CEO of her company. And I don't know how it gets any better than that. So I want to read her bio to you quickly. In 1985, Heather obtained that internship at Marrakech through going to Southern Connecticut State University. She then accepted an entry-level position and, of course, now is the president and CEO. When she began her career at Marrakech, there were about 35 staff working to help 50 people with developmental disabilities and other barriers to independence and opportunity. Today, Marrakech employs over 650 staff statewide to support more than 1,000 people who have those disabilities. Outside of Marrakech, Heather's returned to Southern to serve as an adjunct and has also held classes at the University of Bridgeport. She currently serves on the board of directors for the Workers' Compensation Trust. She is vice chair of the board of the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce, board director of Milestones Behavioral Health, and treasurer of, I'm going to see if I can pronounce this, Seroptimist?
Yes.
Seroptimist International Greater Hartford chapter, which is up where I am. Heather has been recognized as a nonprofit leader and advocate in the New Haven community, and she has served on various panels, speaking engagements, and been recognized with awards, including keynote speaker at Southern's graduate commencement ceremony. That's pretty cool. 517, my son missed you by 1 year. New Haven Biz, New Haven Power 50, Women in Advocacy from the Quinnipiac Chamber of Commerce, creating a welcoming panelist for Diversity and Inclusion Council, and creating welcoming culture, workplace, and environment for people with disabilities. And of course, best of all, she's an owl. So thank you, Heather, so much. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Thank you. Who knows what they're going to be doing in the next 5 years after you graduate? Does anyone know? Anyone sure? No one's sure. Anyone have an idea? You have kind of an idea? That's good.
I went to the career fair.
That's good. Everyone should have went to it. My son goes to classes with you guys. I told him to come today. He brought the flyer home and said, look, I'm going to start going. You'll be happy. I'm going to start going to these things. And I said, did you read the flyer? Because that's me. And he saw the name. He's like, oh, I'm busy that day. So he's not here. But if you see Jason LaTorra, that is my son who's here. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, a little bit about the organization that I work for and the people I work for. And then we'll have a little fun. So, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Any other New Yorkers? No, really? There's usually one in every crowd. Okay, so I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I went to a non-competitive high school. No grades. No grades. You just pass or fail. I took rock history. They took us to see Pink Floyd. It was really like an experimental. Spike Lee went there. cool school in Brooklyn. I took the subway there every day. And then I got a little nervous, like, where am I going to go to school? I have no grades. What's going to happen? And because it was like a non-competitive school, there was no sports. So no football, no baseball. It was like just producing chill people, I guess. It worked for me. So anyway, I applied to Southern because I was 16 when I graduated, because in Brooklyn, they skip you through the school system because there's a lot of overcrowding. So by the time I got out, I was 16. I was accepted to Southern, and my mom said I'm going to be a great special ed teacher. And at that time, I just did what my mom told me to do. And it was like just a 2-hour drive, or right on the subway, I could get home. So that's how I ended up here. We had the best special ed program that there is in any state was at Southern at the time. I'm sure it still is. And so that's why I came here. So my professor, Grace Swancheck, I was chill, and I am chill. I don't know if everyone thinks that of me, but I feel like I'm chill. But when I wanted to, just for my special ed classes, I wanted all A's, just for those classes. Otherwise, other subjects were a little tricky for me, but I wanted to have all A's in special ed. And one of my teachers, Professor Swancheck, gave me a B on a paper that I wrote. And I thought that was wrong. And I thought it was subjective. And, I went to her after class and said, maybe perhaps you want to reread the paper because it's really A material. And I thought I'd just get away with it because I'm from Brooklyn. I could speak up for myself and ask. And she said, Heather, why do you need an A on this paper? Like, why is this so important that you're, harassing me after class? And I said, because I want to be the best special ed teacher ever in the state. And I want all A's in my special ed classes, and the paper deserves an A. And she said, really, if you want to be the best teacher for people with disabilities that are in your classrooms, then you should find out where, when they graduate, like, what are their options? Where are they going to live? Where are they going to work? Are they going to work? Do they go to school? Like, what's going to happen? So if you learn all about that, you'll definitely be a better teacher, because you'll understand that what people have in store for them. It made sense, right? Although all I cared about was the A, this lady was making some sense to me. It's like, yeah, I should know that, because if I'm teaching someone in a classroom how to do a paper, write an A beautifully, is that going to help them in their future? Or what's going to help them in their future? So I said, okay, like, how do I do that? How do I find out? And she said, well, we have an educator program. And what you do is you find an internship, and you find a human service agency that will take you, that supports people with disabilities, and you can find out and support them at home or at work or whatever, and you'll be so experienced. So I said, great, I'll do that. Now you guys have so many tools. I had none of your tools. I had no Uber. I was from Brooklyn, no car. Where am I going to go? I had, no cell phone. So I opened up Yellow Pages. Anyone ever hear of Yellow Pages? A couple of people. So that's, I looked up human services in a book. And then I looked for a human service company that was closest to my dorm, which was Farnham Hall. I was in the first Farnham Hall year that it was co-ed. So before I got here, it was all girls. Did you guys know that? It was an all girls dorm before I got here. And then mine was the first co-ed year. So yes, so I found in the Yellow Pages human service agency that I could actually get a ride to down the block, close to the pizza place, close to a couple of places that are not around anymore. But anyway, so I called them and I said, listen, I have to do an internship. Can I come here and do that? And they're like, absolutely, come to Marrakech. Okay, this is 39 years ago. Can you even fathom that? Because I know you're not there yet. Like 39 years ago. I was sitting in your seat 39 years ago wanting an A. To me, it seems like yesterday. So I'm just letting you know, it goes by fast. So appreciate everything. So I called, and then I went to Marrakech, and they said, yes, you could do an internship there. So think about 39 years ago and people with pretty severe disabilities. Where do you think they were living? that many years ago. Think they were out in the community living in their own apartments, chilling? No. Where do you think they were living? And I know you're not special ed teachers or anything, but centers, yeah, absolutely. Centers or homes. They were living either in their parents' home forever or institutions. We had Mansfield Training School and Southbury Training School. Southbury's still open. They don't take new people, but as people leave or pass away, that they're going to close eventually. We spent a lot of money on Southbury Training School. Anyway, so I got to, as an intern, go to institutions and meet people that were living probably in a room. Actually, there was one right behind us, Brookside, right behind us. And it was a room like this that 25 people lived in, a room like this. And it was a bed and a divider and a bed and a divider and a bed and divider. And then this middle space would be, hey, breakfast time, let's set it up for breakfast. And then, hey, recreation time, let's set it up for bowling. And hey, lunchtime. And hey, nap time. And this is where adults with disabilities were living in a room like this for. And I got to meet them and say, hey, you want your own room? You want some privacy? You want to live like where your parents are so they can come see you? You want to? And I got to meet people that were living in institutions and help them move into their own programs, into their own homes, into our group homes. What color do you want your room? Paint their room that color. What do you want in your room? What do you want to do during the day? Oh, you want to work? That's awesome. Let's help you find a job. When I was hired at Marrakech, so after that internship, I wanted to work at Marrakech because that was just like making a difference immediately. You know how there's a lot of red tape in some things that you do? Like it takes a long time. Even ordering a dining room table, like this is like a 2-month ordeal for me. But anything takes a long time. But I got to meet people and break them out of basically jail and have them live in the community. And I'm like, I'm not giving that up because as much as I wanted to teach, there's a lot of red tape in teaching. And like you have to take a long time to move someone from here to there. And I don't like that kind of stuff. I like doing things, getting things done, making sure people are happy. Easy, not saying, oh, you'll be happy eventually. You'll be happy in a few months. Yeah, we didn't get this signature, so maybe in a couple more months. No, I want to fix it now. And we had that opportunity because it was deinstitutionalization. People were moving out of institutions. People were moving away from their parents. I know living with your parents are comfortable, for those of you that are still, but eventually you don't want to live with them forever. So I got to help move people out, live on their own. And then even though I was still going to college, I didn't have my degree yet, I took a part-time job at Marrakech. I was the weekend program counselor. I worked from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sundays. That was hard to wake up on Sundays, but I did, and I went, and I loved that job. And I was hired, and I made $4.25 an hour. My paper's still in my personnel file. I was hired as a program counselor, $4.25 an hour, which was more than minimum wage, or just a little bit more. And then I helped someone find a job, like within a couple of months at Denny's, and she was making $4.50 an hour. I'm like, wait a minute, how'd that happen? So anyway, I love the job. I love seeing people that were now flourishing, that were living their lives, that they were doing what they wanted to do. And another cool thing about Marrakech when I got here was that I realized it was the only human service agency in the area that was started by students. 2 girls that were going to Yale were just like, they had nothing to do because the teachers were on strike. They had nothing to do. So they're like, oh, we're going to go to Dwight Hall and see what there is to do. And they're like, oh, you can volunteer with people with disabilities. And they saw people living in institutions and said, no way, people shouldn't live in institutions. We're going to open a halfway house and move them out of institutions just for the summer and show people that people with disabilities can live in the community. That's how Marrakech was started. Most other agencies were started in the state with parents of children with disabilities saying, what are we going to do when we die? What are we going to, well, let's start an agency. So the mindset was a little different. Well, these 2 students were like, yeah, they're going to go out to boppers and they're going to go dancing and they're going to have boyfriends and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And the other agencies were kind of developing, like, how do we protect and put bubble wrap on our kids and make sure that they're good and kind of in control. So you see the little bit of difference. And this was definitely my style of how to do things, is to find out what people want to do and help them get there instead of telling them you're just going to be safe and you're never going to get a cut and you're never going to get a cold because I'm not going to let people near you. So that was pretty cool. So I took my job at Marrakech and I was working there for a few years and then I did graduate college. I graduated Southern. It was awesome. I bet you guys can't wait. So nice to graduate. Bet who's ever paying for your school can't wait. If someone's paying or you're paying, then you got to start paying back. So keep going to school. It's nice. And I did, so I graduated and then I started part-time immediately on my master's too. So I was doing that and Marrakech offered me like a full-time job with benefits. So I took it. I said, I know I was student teaching. I did all the school stuff too, but I really liked Marrakech. And I really liked the difference you can make in people's lives pretty quickly. And then I was really liking my coworkers. It was just like a good place for me. So the more I was there, the more I liked it. And pretty soon after I became full-time, a management job came up. Now, I wasn't in business school and I didn't know anything about a management job, but I was the best direct care staff there was. Like I could take care of anyone with a disability. You have some kind of issue, I could help you. I could help you be more independent. I could help you find a job. I could help you live your dreams. Whatever you want to do, I will listen. I'll be the best counselor. I'll make sure that you want your hair cut at a certain place. You want a pet cat, whatever you need, I will help you with. And I was expert. But now I welcome to the world of supervision and supervising other people. And I don't know why I was promoted because when I was interviewed, they said, well, Heather, what are you going to do when you have a staff meeting and your staff don't want to do what you're telling them to do? And I couldn't even understand that question because I'm like, we're all in human services. Everyone's going to want to do what we're going to do. And I still got promoted, which I think was a very mean joke because nobody's going to want to do something the way you want to do it. I have to say. It's just like your friend or your sister or your family or whatever, or your roommate. Everyone's their own person. Just because you have manager next to your name or even CEO next to your name doesn't mean people are going to want to do what you tell them to do. So I had to figure out how that's going to work for me and what my management philosophy was going to be for that. And pretty soon, one of my most valuable lessons at Marrakech was pretty soon after I was promoted to manager, I was taking the agency vehicle out to go pick up people at their day program who lived at the group home. And so, I jumped into the agency vehicle and I'm driving to pick them up downtown New Haven. And within a few seconds of driving, I drove in Brooklyn, New York. There are no mailboxes in the middle of the road in Brooklyn, New York. But in Connecticut, apparently that's where you guys like your mailboxes. So the mailbox of the neighbor from the group home hit the right side of the mirror on the van, the agency vehicle, and the mirror fell off of the agency vehicle, and the mailbox fell off of the neighbor's, pole. And I was mortified. First of all, I just got promoted to manager. I had a business card that said I'm a manager. What if they demote me? What if they make me pay for that? I can't pay for that. I can't pay for all this damage. What if they fire me? Like I was a little freaked out. And again, no cell phones. I had to drive back to the group home and I sat in the van for a minute and I said, well, I could pretend I didn't do that and just jump in my car and take my car and pick them up and just have a good day, like if the car was in the shop. So I was trying to think what to do. And then I remember I had this training when I was hired and you're supposed to call your boss. You're supposed to do this, this, and this. So I figured I really like my job here. I better tell the truth. And I didn't really want to at all. So I called my boss. I'm like, I'm really sorry, Jerry, but I wrecked the vehicle, the mirror on the vehicle. I wrecked the neighbor's mailbox. And he's like, Heather, that's why we have insurance. This is the form I told you have to fill out. We do have safe driving classes. The maintenance people will come and take you out so you can learn how to drive a bigger vehicle. In my defense, it was a big van. It wasn't like a regular car. And yeah, that's it. I'm like, oh, so I'm not getting fired. I don't have to pay for it. I'm still promoted. This is great. Telling the truth is good. That's a good thing, even when you make a mistake. That's great. I could do that. He's like, wait, Heather. You have to let the neighbor know that we will pay for the mailbox too. I'm like, let the neighbor know? In Brooklyn, we don't do that. We just keep going. I don't understand why I have to let the neighbor know. This seems like outside of my job description. But I knocked on it. I took the mailbox. I put a sticky on it, hoping that no one was going to answer the door. And I'm like, I'm from the group home down the block. We'll pay for your mailbox. Really sorry. Had a sticky on the mailbox. Went to the neighbor, knocked on the door, hoping no one was home. Of course, he opened his door and he's like, hello. And I go, hi, I'm from the group home down the block, holding his mailbox. And he's like, oh, that's a group home? I have 2 boys. I was going to, the one with the ramp, right? And I said, yeah, my boys are in Cub Scouts and they need to do a project. And we were actually going to knock on your door to see if they could do plant flowers and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And I'm like, of course, knock yourself out, plant flowers, do what you want. We'll pay for your mailbox. No, don't worry about paying for the mailbox. And that day, and actually, they became donors of the organization. They became friends of the organization. And the people, more importantly, the people living in the home, because staff come and go, but they were neighbors now that liked the people in the, it was like a win, 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 win. I learned that very young. I was still like in my teens. And I learned that pretty young, and it stuck with me forever, that everyone could be honest and fun, but when they make, on a good day, right? When the sun is out and you're not late for class and you got an A on a test and you can like be wonderful and know everybody and really excel. And sometimes people shut down on a bad day or a mistake day. And what I learned is that when you face your mistakes head on, you talk about them, you meet people, you're like, I made this mistake, I'm really sorry. You could make lemonade out of lemons. And so that's one thing that I just want to make sure that you guys all know. Who here is perfect? Well, you'll see. We're not perfect. We do this, what I just talked about, much shorter. When I meet every single new hire on their way into Marrakech. Every single new hire knows this story. Every single person that comes in knows they're going to make mistakes. No one puts that they're perfect on their resume. It's your character and how you deal with a mistake that's going to help you in any job you get, no matter where you're going to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And it feels good to just not have any story to have to tell. You just know what happened. And you say this happened. And they'll take you or leave you. But most of the time, they're going to take you. People don't wake up in the morning to make you mad. Does some people make you mad during the day? Yeah, right? There's some people that make you a little like, oh, I have to see that person. It's going to be really bad, right? There's those people. Do you think that person woke up that morning just to make you mad? Probably not. Most of the time, not. Maybe there's one person in someone's life that does that, but most of the time they don't. They don't, but they could. So it's your attitude. It's what you have control of. Who do you have control of? Who do you have control of? Anyone else?
No.
No. No one. I'm the CEO. I have to admit, I have control of no one. I have 650 people that work for me, with me. I have control of no one. I support 1,000 people with disabilities. I'm in control of no one except myself. I could be as happy as I want to be. I could be as miserable as I want to be. That is all you. I have to tell you that. If that's all you get from this, I'm done. Because that is so important in anything you do. Because some of you are not going to land in the job that you're in forever when you start as an intern. But it's all up to you and what you experience. It was up to me to listen to that teacher that said, hey, if you do this internship, and then it was up to me to make the most of my internship. And then it was up to me to not call out of my internship, even though everyone else was going to New West Cafe and I wasn't. Right? Everyone else was at New West when I was doing my internship. I wanted to be there. It was fun. They had darts. That was good. But I couldn't because I made a commitment. You have control of only yourself. Make sure that you are controlling yourself the way you want to be, the way you want to be described, where you want to be in the future. It's really all in you. Okay, so I told you about crashing the car. Oh, Here's another mistake. Let's see how much time. Okay, one more mistake and then we'll go on. Jen probably remembers this mistake. So one day I'm minding my own business. We have 650 employees. We have it's a business where I work. I know it looks like fun and games and wonderful feel-good stuff, but it's a business. We pay people salaries. We make sure that we have people connected to the internet, and we have 150 vehicles. We have probably 200 cell phones. Like we have to. I can't decide not to pay people, right? I have to pay people, so I have to make sure all that money's in the bank every 2 weeks when we pay people. It's a lot. It's a lot of business. So one day I'm walking by our payroll department. One day I had the day before off, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" And Teresa's like, "Oh, I got you all that information that you asked for yesterday." I'm like, "What information did I ask you for yesterday?" "No, I didn't ask you. We better call IT and the police." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "What information?" She's like, "Oh, you emailed me yesterday. You wanted everyone's social security numbers and everything." I'm like, "What?" So by accident, so this was before, we're very good now. I even get knocked off if I open something I'm not supposed to, because she's in charge. But anyway, before that, we didn't know. And it was like when everyone else was getting hacked too, like Kohl's got hacked and the state of Connecticut, like everyone was getting hacked and we got hacked. Someone asked our payroll person for information for a lot of files. She thought it was from me, and she sent everyone's social security numbers and everything to some place. And not only our current employees who kind of like us,
Yeah.
our ex-employees too, because it was like years of data. So this is a lot of people's data. So immediately she starts crying, and the other lady who connected her started crying. They're all crying. They're looking at me crying, and I'm like, I understand that you're upset, and I understand that this was a mistake, and I understand that. And let's get the crying out of the way. Let's make a plan. What are we going to do? I'm going to talk to the attorney. You're going to talk to the police. You're going to talk to IT. You're going to do this. We're going to do this. Let's have a plan. So everyone did what they had to do in the plan. I called our attorney, and I said, listen, it was right before taxes too. It was like in March. That's dangerous when people have your social security number right before taxes, because people could steal people's refunds, and a lot of our staff get refunds. So I wanted to tell everyone that minute. So I didn't do that minute. I wrote up something to make sure I could get to all of our current and ex-employees, and I called our attorney to review it. And she's like, whoa, 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 Heather, wait a minute. You have 90 days to tell people about this. Why are you doing this today? My suggestion is, and I said, oh, whoa, whoa, why are you telling me to wait? Tell me why you're telling me to wait. Now, this is an attorney. I always was I was brought up that attorneys know what they're doing and you listen to your attorney. But I couldn't, because I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. And that's important to me. So I said, why are you telling me to wait some time before you tell everybody it's tax season? If one person's tax refund goes somewhere else, it's going to inconvenience them. And then I can't pay for it because then I'll have to pay for anyone's. It's just a big mess. We have to do something. And she said, well, I'm like, what's the problem? She goes, well, they could put you on the front page of the newspaper. You'll go on the newspaper, the front page, like Marrakech got, social security numbers out, like what happened with Target and the other places. And I'm like, okay, I'd rather be on the front page that says that instead of the front page like CEO hides that this happened and waited 2 months to make it die down before she told her employees. So I'm saying no. So if you want to be our attorney and continue to be our attorney, you're going to support me in getting this out by the end of the day, but as soon as possible, and help me with credit counseling and whatever else I need help with, or we're going to have another attorney. And that was like my big girl shoes, because before that, I was like doing what I'm supposed to do and listening to the experts. And I didn't feel like that was an expert advice. So trusting your gut is important. We told our staff that day. We got everyone credit counseling. Everyone volunteered. I'll call 20 people. I'll call 20 people. I'll call 20 people. Make sure everybody knows, and that we take care of this for our staff immediately. So mistakes are horrible, but you learn from them if you're honest. and you handle them quickly, people respect it. And then you have people now that trust you more. So then when people trust you a little more, they might do what I ask them to do. Again, I can never make sure that someone else does that. So mistakes are important learning life things. Something else about important life success is not being comfortable. I'm sure all of you guys have a comfortable place to be. Whether, well, I'm thinking about my son, I'm channeling him who's doing what you guys do, and his comfortable place to be is in front of his video games or his phone or, doing things like that. And it's comfortable. And he looks forward to it. And I'm like, I'm telling you that there should be something in your day, every day, starting today, if you don't already do it, that makes you a little uncomfortable. I like that I didn't know you get extra credit coming here today.
From certain teachers, yeah.
My son didn't tell me that he needs extra credit. Anyway, you have to do things. That's why you're kind of a little nudged to come here and do things, because we're teaching you to be outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
To shake hands with someone, to meet someone new, to talk to someone you don't know, to share who you are, to decide who you are and what your philosophy is going to be and how you're going to work and where you want to see yourself. That's important. So I beg you every day to do something outside of your comfort zone. I have the best donated chair behind my desk. Someone donated this nice chair that leans back, and I'm very comfortable at my desk. I love being at my desk because I get so much done. Am I at my desk every day all the time? No. I thought that was going to be my job when I was promoted to CEO. I thought I was going to be at my desk. And I see some CEOs that are at their desk. You know how successful they are? Not in my eyes, not too successful. I push myself. Mark mentioned that I spoke at a Southern called me to speak as a keynote speaker at a graduation for the master's program. And the lady was wonderful. And she's like, hey, Heather, I go, oh, thank you so much. I'm busy that day, but wow, I'm so honored. And I hung up. And Jill, who works with me across the hall, overheard it and said, you better call them back and do it. I go, I can't do that. There's like 5,000 people there. I don't do that. I'm not doing that. She's like, Miss Comfort Zone, you really have to say you're going to do it. And it was like, I was like, I could have just puked for days. I was so sick to think about speaking in front of all those people. I like a classroom. This is nice. But all those people who couldn't wait to just graduate, they didn't want me in between their graduation. Like, what am I going to say? So doing things that make you a little uncomfortable is very good. So I hope you're thinking of something like that. The person who was here, Lisa Murata, you guys know her maybe? Yeah. She's our mayor in the town that I live in. Oh. So a long time ago, that would have scared me to death. Like, oh, I'm speaking to the mayor of the town or the governor or whatever. Now it's second nature because I know I have to do it. I have to advocate for people with disabilities. I signed on for that. So I have to go into Hartford and speak to legislators and senators and go to Washington, D.C. Oh my gosh! Rosa DeLauro, her office emailed me yesterday, $1.1 million for our building. We're almost there. Yep. So, but knowing people, meeting the Congress people, going to Washington, D.C. face to face, talking to people, developing friendships, that is not something I like to do. Now I have to do it. It's the best for my organization. It's the best thing for the people we support, and it's the best thing for the people that work with me. So again, it's something that people see that I do, that I'm not comfortable, but I do it. I don't say, you do that, and you do that, and you do that, and tell me how it goes. Do it myself. Do it with our employees. So again, I can't make 650 people do anything, but as they trust and they understand and they see advocacy and they see who I am, the ones that are interested in that, I have people that will do things that we need to get done because of that. Not because I have a title of CEO. So I love where I work, could you tell? I love where I work. We're not only different because we are founded by students instead of parents, we're different because we support anyone with a need. And the state of Connecticut knows that. So when someone calls up the state of Connecticut and says, I have a son who's deaf and has autism and has medical needs, and no one will support him, you know what they say? What do you think they say? Call Marrakech. Call Heather. She'll do it. And that happened about 5 years ago. A social worker in a school called because their son was graduating from the American School for the Deaf, who only communicated through sign language and needs a place to live and needs staff 24/7 that could communicate with him. I'm like, there's got to be agencies that do that, right? There's got to be schools or agencies and places that do that already, right? For people with disabilities? Nope. So guess who did it? We did. So we have a home. We opened it in Winstead. I tried to do with Southern, but maybe next time. We opened a school in Winstead because Northwest no, I forgot the name. Northwest Community College, no, yes, Northwestern, I don't know what it's called. But one of the colleges there is for people who want to be interpreters. So there's a lot of people at that college that want to be interpreters, sign language interpreters. So you have a lot of people that know how to sign. So I figure my applicant pool will be a little bigger than somewhere else. So we decided to do it there. And then also there's a lot of students that are deaf that go to that school too. So we could also recruit people to work in the group homes for the people that are deaf. And so we've been running that. Is it hard? Absolutely. Did I have to come into we had our management meeting here 2 months ago. Every first Thursday of every month, I meet with all of our managers. This room was overflow. We had to have chairs up front. We have 80 managers that I work with, managers, directors, vice presidents, chief level people. And we filled this room. And I had to go to that room of those people and say, hey, you know, it's really hard to recruit staff. And now we need to recruit staff that are fluent in sign language. Okay? Okay, guys? And they're like, Heather, we don't even have enough employees. But they looked at me and they're like, okay, we're going to do it. And we did it. And we're running that program for a few years now. And there's more people that need this service. We just have to recruit more people. And in the meantime, we're taking sign language classes too. So, because now we have staff who are deaf. So a brand new culture now works at Marrakech. And I want to be able to talk to everybody that works and receives services. So now we're taking sign language classes. And all I could tell you is I like steak and burgers, but I have salad. That's my story of my life. Sign language. Anyway, so we do that. We have an art studio. So years ago, people were like, I don't know, I don't want to be stereotypical, but if you see people with disabilities working, where do you usually see them?
In restaurants?
In a restaurant, right? Maybe bussing tables, bagging in grocery stores. That's like our big thing. And we love Stop and Shop and Big What. We love them because they'll hire people with disabilities. And it's very important to have jobs. I think that's why you're sitting here, because eventually you want jobs that are good for you. And those seem to be the typical jobs. So anyway, we had years ago where the people we support say, yeah, thanks for that job, but we want to be artists. And I laugh at that and say, you know, starving artists don't make money. Oh no, we want to make money and we want you guys to do it. So we did it. We have East Street Arts. It's right off of State Street in New Haven. It's a storefront. There's art that they make and sell, and there's also chair caning. So they could fix their own. We're one of the only hand caning studios left in Connecticut. And it's people with disabilities that work on the chairs. And they make beautiful tea towels. They design them and sell them. And it's eaststreetarts.com in case you ever want to buy a gift for anyone or go down there or look at it. So that's awesome. So we do. And then we have some people that we support that want to have kids. And if it's the agency that the parents founded, like they're not even allowed to have sex, never mind kids, like that's scary for families. We're like, okay, you have a kid, we're not going to take him away. We're going to help support you and your kid and make sure, because we support people. And people are people. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're not a person. It doesn't make you one way or another. As soon as you start grouping people together, you're in big trouble. So anyway, that is about Marrakech. That is about me. And what else do I got here? Okay. Do you guys have a feeling about how you want to be described when someone meets you? Anyone have a feeling about how you present or how, oh yeah, I met Heather. Like you're going to meet people that know me. Probably now that you met me, you'll see. You might see me, you might see people that know me. And you're like, oh yeah, I saw Heather. She is blah. What is it? So I want to be described a certain way. I want to be described as caring. I want to be described as open. I want to be described as, cutting edge, always doing things for people, whether it's easy or not easy. So I hope that that's what I'm showing, is how I want to be described. So sometimes people come to an interview and they want to be described a certain way. I'm always on time. I work well with others. Yeah, we hear that all the time. All the time. I work well with others. But think about how you want to be described. Again, you could do it while you're in school, at work, how you want to be described. I met you, and I met Mark. Pretty passionate about his job, huh? I don't know what the cat dragged in just now, but I guess I'll have to deal with it. But that's an important thing about deciding how you want to be described and what that looks like. And then remember one thing, how do you want to be described on your worst day? When your payroll gives out everyone's social security number, when you crash your car into the mailbox that we talked about. How do you want to be described when there's an emergency, when there's a problem? Oh, they fix it. They fix it. Or they hide and they lie about it. They don't want to tell anybody about it. Or I take it on as my responsibility. It's my responsibility that happened, that payroll leak happened. My responsibility. It's always my responsibility. I took that on with the job. So if you take that on and you decide you want to be responsible, then you have to take all the responsibility with it, the bad and the good. And then how are you going to be described during that conversation? Oh, yeah. Well, they gave out everyone's social security number, but they owned it. They were transparent about it. They handled it better than Target handled it when that happened, better than the state handled it. Every single person that worked there had a phone call. Think about how you want to be described during COVID. I love what happened to our organization during COVID. At that time, we had 750 employees. We had more. And we find out, like you found out, all of a sudden, oh, there might not be people. People might get sick. People with disabilities could die from COVID. What are we going to do? Some company, what did most companies do? Shut down, right? Restaurants, shut down. What other things do companies do? Lay off everybody, shut it down. Went remote, yep. Some companies went remote. So if we're taking care of 1,000 people, you think we could go remote? No. Well, what were we gonna do? I was terrified. I didn't tell anybody I was terrified, but I was terrified. Like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna take care of 1,000 people when the rest of the world is able to just shut down? I really wanted to shut down. I really just wanted to say, we're all on vacation for a little bit, but you can't. So after I cried to myself and said, okay, we can't shut down, we decided, what are we going to do? And who has the best answers? The people that work for us and the people we support. Got to ask our customers, what are we going to do? So again, we divided up. We said, okay, Heather's going to call these places. I'm going to call these places. We're going to figure out what to do. So every day We contacted everybody and said, how are you doing? What are we going to do? And we started seeing people become sick. And we got very worried because a lot of our people could die from COVID because of their pre-existing health conditions. So I called one of our group homes, the one where I crashed the car, and said, so what's going on? How is it going? They're like, it's good. Everyone's showing up to work. That's good. But, we love that overnight staff that comes in, but who knows where she was all day? It's scary to let someone in now at 10 o'clock at night after they were at another job or whatever. That's scary. So, people were getting sick because we had 3 shifts of staff. So we put our minds together and we said, oh, well, we already know how we could have people live at a site because we have these very creative sites. So we asked all of our 750 staff, what do you want to do? Some people had to stay home with their families. That was easy. We gave everyone extra time off, paid time off. So if you had to be home with your family, go home to your family. We asked people, hey, you want to make some extra money, move into the group homes? Can you believe people wanted to do that? They packed up their bags when they thought that they could die. And they packed up their bags and they, oh my gosh, even to this day, it's amazing because they just did it. They loved the people in the group homes. They left their homes when everyone else was scared and they moved into the group home. And you know what? We locked the doors. And you know what? 13 days later, not one COVID case at Marrakech because we knew we had to control it. We didn't have to lay off one person because other people, so the poor overnight lady who was coming in, we didn't want to fire her. So what we did for her was, hey, we got extra washers and dryers at our main site. You guys could come, any other overnight could come and still do your shift because she couldn't do a first or second shift because she had other jobs and kids. So she did her shift, her exact shift, and washed and dried everyone's clothing so the people that live in their own homes didn't have to go to the laundromat. She kept people safe. Our day program staff, who really had nothing to do because we weren't sending people to day programs, they did a whole bunch of things. They did birthday brigades. They did Easter brigades. They delivered cards and presents for Mother's Day, for Father's Day. They outfitted vans to go to the group homes with people's favorite stuff and say, oh, here we are at Noah's house. Hey, you like Coca-Cola? I got some, I have grape soda for you. I have this for you. Hey, you want to come? And they got to see their favorite people and still visit with them safely with their masks on and everything. I'm telling you, it's hard to get people to do what you want them to do. During COVID, we had 750 people working with us that were all ready, willing, and able to work. It was the most beautiful time for us. And then we were taking surveys like, what do you think? Your job changed from this to this. Your job was here, now it's there. Some of our staff just operated now. We changed all our training rooms into supply centers. So they were taking orders, and then the people that were in the homes were delivering masks, and were picking them up, or all this kind of stuff. It was like a whole new agency. How do we handle the disaster? Do we sit and cry and close down? No. Nope. That's important. That was important to our whole organization. So now we talked about taking an opportunity. When my teacher gave me that opportunity to do my internship, learning from your mistakes and not hiding them, being transparent about them. Having a good day is easy when it's a good day, but when it's a bad day, you're still expected to act a certain way. You can't just cry and crawl under the carpet and quit. You have to still be there and do that to be successful. Obviously, eventually you surround yourself with the most wonderful people, which is what I did at Marrakech, which is really kind of cool. And decide how you want to be described. How did Marrakech handle COVID? How did the leader handle the Social Security number breach? How did this happen? So even if it's bad news, we have a newspaper right here. He writes in the newspaper. Even if it's bad news, right? That's you, right? Yeah. Even if it's bad news, you make the most of it, right? You have to. So instead of crawling under the carpet and crying and saying, I can't do this, and you might do that in private for a minute, you're then going to come out and figure out what the solution is and use your resources. It wasn't me that came up with those ideas. It was the people I worked with. And they respect me enough to share their ideas, and they know that their ideas would never be dumb to me. They'd be brilliant. And we protected so many people from COVID during that time. It was just unbelievable. It was unprecedented in human service agencies. So we are one of the largest human service organizations in Connecticut and the most diverse. We support youth in the foster care system, so they don't have disabilities, they just have maybe economic disadvantages and they don't have a family. And so we have that program. We have a program for people who are homeless and still addicted to drugs or alcohol. We have a program for people with developmental disabilities, people with physical disabilities. I talked to you about people who are deaf that we support. We support people through our Academy of Human Service training program. Think about this. It's hard to recruit staff. You think everyone's having a hard time recruiting staff right now? You go to a restaurant and wait for 3 hours for a burger. Has that happened to you guys recently? Yeah, because there's not enough people to work, especially in like entry-level jobs. We have the same problem. So did I sit home and cry about it? You know me by now. Did I sit home and cry about it? No. Okay, what are we going to do? Wow, there's people graduating from high school. They don't know what they want to do yet. You have people going to unemployment. They don't know what they're going to do yet. They don't have their job yet. We have people that were laid off or they had to stop jobs because of they got hurt at their job or they want a new profession. Let's find those people and train them to work in human services. So this has been a problem for us for a number of years. So about 30 years ago, we started our Academy for Human Service Training. And so in that program, we support people who are just looking for a career change, people who are unemployed or underemployed. They come through our classroom setting. Then we do what? What's your favorite thing? Internships. They do internships. A lot of them do internships at Marrakech. And then we hire them. And then they're our chief compliance officer or a vice president of IT. Pretty cool, huh? For there's a problem, there's a solution, and there's a great group of people making that solution. You could be part of the solution, or you could be part of the problem. It's up to you. It's really up to you. It's no one else. Who controls you? Who controls you? Anyone control you? No. You control yourself. Who can you control? Who can you control? Yourself. That's it. Anyone else you can control? That's it. That's it. That's all you got to know. So, I was 24. So, did I tell you? So I was the program manager. Then the HR director left. I tell you that story. So I was really happy in my master's in human services here, going to be a teacher, a principal, whatever, something like that, being in the red tape school system. And then right as I was, getting offers from schools to be a teacher, Marrakech said in 1999, hey, our HR director's leaving. Can you be the HR director? And I said, HR director? I didn't go to this school for business. This wasn't even here. It was Farnham Hall, and you could see the field house. There was no building right here. I don't know. So I had no clue about how to be the human resources director. Where'd they get that from? I was a social work. I was a teacher. I worked with people with disabilities. Why are you asking me to be the director of human resources? It sounds ridiculous. There were 523 employees. I only remember that because we didn't have a payroll system, and 523 employees were filling out timesheets. Yeah. And some people had a timesheet for this place and then for this place, so there were thousands of timesheets. So someone got overtime to bring the timesheets home and sort them and do that. It was ridiculous. So I really didn't want to be the director of human resources because I figured that would be a really hard job and different and not what I wanted to do. But my boss asked me to try it out, so I tried it out. So in 1999, I became the Director of Human Resources. And I did that for a while. You didn't know that? I did that for a while and realized that I loved the employees like I love the people we support. And I wanted to see people, get their degrees. We were talking about that too, tuition reimbursement, buy homes. Like, this is good. This is good for our group. And then somehow I woke up as the chief operating officer. And then one day the CEO said, I'm going to retire, Heather. I said, that's good. You should retire one day. And he said, well, can I count on you? I'm like, yeah, I'll be here. I'll do my job. No, can you be the CEO? I'm like, what? Who the heck wants to be in charge of anything? That sounds horrible, like a horrible job. I didn't really want to do it. But he asked me, and then I was thinking, if I don't take that job, someone else is going to be my boss. And really, what if someone else doesn't care about the people we support and our staff as much as I care? What if someone else doesn't believe in transparency or doesn't have the same goals and like people could live their lives the way they want to? What if someone else comes in here with some kooky ideas? So I said, all right. That was 10 years ago. About 10 years ago that I became the president and CEO. And I still love it. All from an internship, all from a B. I think I have to finish up, right? Because you're supposed to be on time, you said.
Yes, that's
Oh
right.
gosh. Okay, so I'm going to be on time. I have beautiful chocolates for you, but I don't have enough for all of you. Marrakech chocolates and pens, and we figured out that these were straws. And anyone have any questions for me before we leave? I have a beautiful video, but we don't have time for that.
We have some balloon for you too, Heather.
You do.
Yeah, we put a little package together for you, and I want to point out the coolest thing in this is our solar-powered cell phone recharger,
I need that.
which is based on the school's mission of sustainability
Yes.
and so forth. So,
Thank you.